Vladimír Furdík, you salty dog, you. The Night King, or the actor who plays the Night King rather, has just leaked/confirmed what we already know about what is going to be the biggest battle in Game of Thrones Season 8. Honestly, at this point, it's not really the biggest battle in Game of Thrones Season 8. It's probably going to be the biggest battle in television history. From what we know so far, this battle took 55 freaking nights to film, and the last battle that was even close to this, the Battle of the Bastards back in Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 9, only took about 20-some days. This battle is going to be twice as intense, and dragons are going to be flying in the sky. This video will contain leaked spoilers, as well as some good old hearty speculation. As always, here's your spoiler warning. Before we get started, please slap a like on this video as the like goal is going to be 429. Also, make sure you're subscribed and then make sure you have notifications turned on so that way you get alerted every single time I drop a Game of Thrones video throughout this long nights. Now, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, this battle is being compared to the Battle of the Bastards, which took place in Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 9. Now, when I went back and rewatched that episode, it has a shit crap ton of foreshadowing for this next season. For instance, right when Davos goes and figured out that Shireen was burned the episode prior, they cut to Tyrion and he mentions Winterfell, and you know, this is the scene where Yara and Theon show up to pledge their allegiance to Daenerys, and Tyrion ends up calling him out on this. And according to the leaks, Tyrion will in fact be executed this season for treason. One of the ways that a lot of us think he's gonna go out is by being burned by a dragon, or just ending in some sort of fiery way. Well, Davos is said to preside over that trial along with a few others, and if you remember way back in Season 2, Davos lost his son thanks to Tyrion's efforts at the Battle of the Blackwater. Can we all just agree that this show comes 100% full circle? Also, on a side note there, Tyrion tries to call out Theon for telling him that he was short and being an asshole to him, when in all actuality, Tyrion was the one who was being a jerk to Theon. Getting back on track here, we have to sort of visualize how the Battle of the Bastards went down, just so we can get a better picture of how this battle in Season 8 will play out. Now, in true Game of Thrones fashion, we are promised wide cinematic sweeping shots of an open battlefield. I will say that this is going to go down at Winterfell, and there might be a few skirmishes here and there, but the major battle between the living and the dead is confirmed to go down at Winterfell. We do know that Jon and Daenerys are going to be arriving in Winterfell, probably halfway or maybe towards the end of the episode. With that already somewhat being confirmed, that puts us right on track for episode 2 being the internal turmoil and quarrels that are going to go between Daenerys arriving at Winterfell, a bunch of characters who haven't been around each other in seasons. That's all going to take place in episode 2. Then by the end of that episode, the Army of the Dead are most likely going to show up. I highly doubt we're going to be getting another moment with Rickon zigzagging and, you know, a sort of standoff between Jon Snow and Ramsay. That's definitely not going down, but a similar situation may arise in which, you remember last time, Jon was the first to charge into battle, and then he was quickly followed by his wildling and fellow Northernmen brothers trailing behind him. The difference this time is that Jon is going to have a lot more soldiers, and not just ones from the north. He's going to pretty much at this point have soldiers from all over the known world. Will be Jon on horseback and Daenerys on dragonback, leading their massive combined army into a fight against the Night King and the Army of the Dead. I remember from the Battle of the Bastards, we had these 6 burning crosses on the field, and they were pretty intriguing. For the leaks for that season that I covered on my channel, that was the most heavily requested topic on who the hell we all thought were on these X's. Well, it turns out that was nowhere near important as we thought it would be, and instead we got Rickon running across an open battlefield towards Jon, ultimately to die just before reaching salvation because he was too big of an idiot to zigzag. Now, the Night King's not one to play games. A similar situation that may happen, or just, you know, this full-on circle effect that we have with Game of Thrones, may be the fact that the Night King has killed someone close to Jon, and they're already standing by his side in reanimated white. On second thought, the Night King is most likely going to be flying in the air on the back of Viserion, so standing by him is not really an option. And even though we've watched the clips of Viserion tearing down that wall for about 2 years now, Daenerys has not yet seen her son in this form, so it's going to be extremely traumatic for her. I think just to level the playing field, and hey, throw on your tinfoil caps as usual here, but maybe there's a chance that the Battle of the Winterfell pushes Jon and Daenerys' troops outside of the castle, and at some point the Night King takes up, if we want to even call it, sanctuary inside Winterfell, and maybe he goes down to the crypts and reanimates some of the dead down there. Then Jon seeing some of his reanimated family members, along with Daenerys seeing her reanimated son, well, then this would of course bring them even closer and make them even more so realize just how great this threat will be. And if we have one episode where the characters are alive having sort of family moments right before the Night King shows up at the end of the episode, that's gonna make for great television. Like episode 2, we see certain characters alive, like maybe Sansa and Brienne and a few other Grey Worms and maybe Missandei. They're all sitting around having a great meal, and then the next episode, they're all dead, reanimated, standing beside the Night King. Now, I don't know if those characters in particular are going to be the ones to kick the bucket, but would that not be insane as fuck? Okay, now I just quickly want to mention one more thing before we move on to the actual spoilers that were confirmed by Vladimír Furdík, the actor who plays the Night King. Place those tinfoil caps on your noggin. I love Cersei Lannister. Okay, I freaking hate her, but I love Lena Headey's portrayal of a character that is so evil. We hate her in one moment, but then we feel just a small amount of sympathy even after they've done one of the shittiest things on television. Game of Thrones Season 8, she has to be manipulative. We all see her not following through with her word, waiting for the right moment, sweeping in, trying to kill Jon and Daenerys, but ultimately being destroyed in her attempts and going out in some sort of blaze of fury. That's probably not going to be what goes down. She's slated to be in all 6 episodes, and it's most likely going to be a slow burn. What I mean by this is I predict her sending troops to go and help Jon Snow and Daenerys just like she promised she would. She's most likely going to send the Golden Company, because we do have these images of all of these different armies and all of these different dead bodies that are from all of these different armies on this massive battlefield. So at some point, the Lannister troops will arrive in the north. What if her plan is to send them up there to just sort of stand in the background, watch what happens, maybe assist if necessary, and then when Jon and Daenerys are ultimately successful in killing the Night King, she already has a small portion of her army right up there next to them, ready to pick off the wounded and wait for reinforcements to arrive, and then Cersei could attempt to take out all of her enemies in one fell swoop. In my opinion, that more so sounds like what Cersei does, or the types of things that she does. If you look back to the very first battle of this show, or in my opinion, the first battle, that's the Battle of the Blackwater, and one of the key elements in that was wildfire. So each one of the rulers has their own specialty. Jon Snow is being a badass warrior, a man of the people. Daenerys is having 2 dragons, coming from nothing, raising herself up to be queen of the 7 kingdoms. Sansa has her political intrigue. Tyrion has his cunning. And then Cersei, well, she has her wildfire. In my opinion, it's most likely going to play a major role in this battle at Winterfell. Whether it's used to destroy Winterfell or to aid the living against the fight between the dead, well, that I'm not really sure. Now on to the confirmed spoilers from Vladimír Furdík. So recently, at an event called PlayIT in Hungary, the actor who plays the Night King talked about a insane, massive battle that's going to take place. It's also been confirmed by several other actors. Peter Dinklage mentioned to Entertainment Weekly that basically this battle is going to trump the Battle of the Bastards, and it's going to, not verbatim here, but it's going to make the Battle of the Bastards look like a walk in the park. So every single actor is hyping it up. However, no actor has said that it's going to take place in a certain episode, and they damn sure didn't mention that they were going to be in that. Okay, so Vladimír Furdík mentions that in the 3rd part of the last season, which confirms that it's going to be in the 3rd episode. Remember, everyone has said that this last season is 6 giant movies that are taking place over a long period of time. So he mentions in the 3rd part of the last season, there's a battle that the creators intend to be the biggest in television history. Almost the full episode will be about the battle. It will take 1 hour. Having the largest battle doesn't sound very exciting. It actually sounds kind of boring, but that's just part of their challenge. Miguel Sapochnik, he goes on to say, is keeping that compelling. He's been building towards this since the very beginning, and it's the living and the dead. You can't do that in a 12-minute sequence. So it sounds like not only are we in a treat, or in for a treat rather, in Game of Thrones Season 8, when we get to see the Night King on dragon and Daenerys on dragon fighting against the army of the dead, and it's just going to be insane. Not only do we get to see that, but it's going to take place the entirety of the episode. So that sounds that my speculation is somewhat on point in thinking that the Army of the Dead is going to arrive at the very end of episode 2, leaving that stakes, or that week that we have to wait in between those episodes, going to be nail-biting. But not to worry, I plan to release about 2 to 3 episodes per episode of Game of Thrones Season 8, and then also live streams every Sunday night after the episode airs. So according to Vladimír Furdík, this battle did indeed take 55 nights long to film, and the intention from Dan and Dave and Miguel Sapochnik and everyone who is involved with this episode, their intention is to lay everything to waste. Now that's just not everything that's been done in the past, but also everything that's intended to be done in the future. The only person, in my opinion, that could top this upcoming battle is Game of Thrones themselves, and maybe the successor show. One thing that's overhyped on is how it took 55 nights to film this battle, but one thing I know just from the behind the scenes experience that I have in making my own videos, the CG department and the special effects crew is probably been working on this scene for like 6 months. They want to make sure everything is perfect, and there's no way that they're going to allow little slip-ups through in this episode, or in these scenes rather, that would make their work look subpar. These guys are perfectionists, and we are going to be in for a treat. Alright, and with that being said, I want to thank you all so much for watching. I am working on a video series covering Fire and Blood. It's just taking me a lot of time because there's a lot of information to dissect in those books, and I want to get it perfect for y'all. The like goal for this video is going to be 429. Make sure you're subscribed, and then make sure you have your notifications turned on so that way you get alerted every single time I drop a Game of Thrones video throughout this long night. Super special shout out to every single member of my Patreon family over on patreon.com/SirHuntsReviews. I want to thank you all so much for watching. My name's Mark, and this has been Sir Hunts, keeping you entertained throughout this long night. Reviews. I haven't really done one of these Easter eggs in a while here, but here is a short clip of me doing a backflip off of a wall.